Popco Studios in Oklahoma City. You're watching OU Football with Jake Trotter. I'm Jenni Carlson. Our OU coverage is brought to you by Eskridge Lexus. Stop in and see them today. Jake, obviously a big rock pass now in the Sooners season, that Texas game, a win on Saturday. How do you now look at the rest of the schedule? What do you feel like is the toughest game remaining for the Sooners out there?
Right now, I would say at Oklahoma State. They beat Texas A&M the other day. I think that game in Stillwater has always been tough for OU, even when OSU hasn't had its best teams. And I think they have a pretty good team this year. I don't know if they're going to, run the table to get to that game necessarily, but, I think they could have 7, 8, 9 wins for Bedlam, and that could be a really interesting game. Texas A&M is going to be tough. I'm not going to say the Aggies are done yet, despite losing at OSU, even though they haven't looked very good so far. Yeah. They have a lot of upperclassmen on this team. They have a big game this weekend against Arkansas. They can really reset their season with the win there. Mm-hmm. And then you have Missouri, which is kind of quietly hanging around in the north. Everybody just assumes Nebraska is going to run away with that. But Missouri's undefeated, had a couple of impressive wins after a lackluster game against San Diego State. And that's the first one, October 23rd. So I think those 3 games are really going to decide the season. And, any one of them, if OU doesn't play well, it's a game they could lose.
Are any of the games left that maybe of those beyond the 3 that you talked about, games that could jump up and bite the Sooners unexpectedly, either before a big game, after a big game, or just somebody that's playing better than you thought?
I don't know. I think the rest of them are going to be very difficult for OU to lose. I mean, Iowa State, they had a nice one over Texas Tech, but that game's in Norman. You have a Colorado, which, they beat Georgia, but they haven't really looked that good, and that's more of a credit to Georgia looking awful this year. So in Texas Tech, which is a team that we thought had a chance to be pretty good, but after a loss to Tech, they're 0-2 in the Big 12 after the loss to Iowa State. So you don't think that they're going to give much of a challenge, especially when they've been good and they've gotten KO'd in Norman in the past. So I think it's going to come out of those 3 games. And I would say OU has a pretty good chance to win all of them, but it's certainly not going to be easy.
So does this mean we're automatically thinking Kansas City, here they come, they're going to be in the Big 12 championship game?
Well, I think they definitely are the favorite at this point. I mean, I think they are the odds-on favorite for sure. A&M, Oklahoma State, I get in Texas would all have their chances, but right now looking at the schedule, I think OU, it's their division to lose, and the same as Nebraska. So that could be a very interesting game. If both teams were to be undefeated, in what could be the final game in a long time between the two.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jake. Hey, stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman. Remember, our OU coverage is brought to you by Eskridge Lexus. Stop in and see them today.